Oh, we got somebody pulling up here. We're good to go. We're good to go. No, no, we're good. We're good.
How many people get goofed up?
Yeah. 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 Yeah, we're good.
One guy, he's headed up grouse hunting. He said he's been going in circles for like an hour.
Oh, wow. Guy was...
Yeah, we already got that.
Okay, well, it's raining now. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to show you how to do our 5R110 transmission relearn process on your 6.0 Powerstroke. So this is quite the phenomenon. There's a lot of stuff on the internet, a whole bunch of different ways. Ford has their specific way, and we kind of derived ours from Ford. So we're going to show you how to do it on camera. So with that being said, let's get started with that. First things first, we're going to load the custom tune that we want to do the transmission relearn on. A couple quick tech tips. No, you don't need to do this every time you change tunes. So we're gonna do it on our ecobee Street. It's kind of right in the middle. It's the one that I generally recommend doing it on, but if you only get a toe boss, do it on the toe boss. If you only get the extreme, do it on the extreme. This is the one that I recommend if you have all of them on there to do it on. So we're gonna do it on the ecobee Street. And I did put my race shift points and overdrive lockout on this because that's what I like to daily drive. So while this is loading, I'll cover all that stuff. First and foremost, if you notice when you go in here, obviously when you go on our website, we ask you for your axle ratio and your tire size. That should be, if it's a 295 50/17 or 285 70/17, we need that size, or the brand of tire with the tire size. We need that information. The reason being is every tire manufacturer has a different revs per mile, so we need the revs per mile to put in here. Now I've got mine set to 35s, which my truck has 35s on it, so I'm going to leave it. Now if my speedometer is off, I can use this to adjust. Now what you must always remember is that you're adjusting against what's in the tune, so you have to kind of find the balance to get the speedometer where you want it to be, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. SCT doesn't always. I've noticed that in the later trucks, SCT will communicate with the ABS module to properly adjust your speedometer. Some trucks it doesn't work at all. I've got to be honest, I've never taken the time to figure out why it doesn't work. But that being said, I know it works on this truck. This is my Harley truck, my red Harley. If you guys follow our social medias, you'll know that I went and picked up this truck because I love this truck. It's the one truck that I've always wanted to own when it comes to a 6.0. So we're going to do our transmission relearn process. So I'm going to leave these right now. I'm going to click approve. You can see that it's set to VXCF 987. We're going to hit continue, turn key off. Just follow the process of loading the tune just like normal. So now it's doing its thing. Real quick, on our website, we have 3 different options. We have stock shift points. That's, of course, we're going to adjust line pressure a little bit and calculate a torque out the transmission shift properly. That being said, the shift points will be exactly what they are from the factory. Mildly raised. That is, I would call it a 25% raise over factory. That's kind of across the board. Now, on a 6.0 Powerstroke, you must remember it shifts based on throttle percentage and mile per hour. The only time it has to do with RPM is wide open throttle. Other than that, it does not care what RPM it's shifting at. Alrighty, so when you think of mildly raised shift points, if from the factory and you're lightly into the throttle, just lightly, less than 10%, and it shifts at 7 to 8 miles per hour, and we've mildly raised it, that's only 9 to 10 miles per hour. That kind of gives you a reference. And then if you go to the race shift points, I will say, that's more in the 50% raised realm. I would say, just for a quick estimate of numbers, just thinking first to second, we have it set to 12 miles an hour at light throttle for the race shift point, so this thing will be shifting closer to 12 miles an hour when I'm lightly in the throttle. Overdrive lockout. This is one that a lot of people don't know what it is. In my world, in my opinion, it should be on every single tune for every 6.0 Powerstroke out there. The reason being is overdrive lockout takes this tow haul button and turns your tow haul into tow haul from first to fifth, and then will not shift into overdrive until you tell it to shift into overdrive by taking it out of tow haul. When you're in overdrive, there's no tow haul feature. You're just in overdrive. The reason that I think it should be is, number one, you're doing 65, 70 on the highway, that Mustang pulls up next to you, tap that guy, instantly downshift, spools, and walks away. You're not waiting for that turbo lag. Number two, and this is where it's more realistic for the everyday driver, the guy that buys these trucks, hooks a trailer to him, goes to the job site, and tows every day. The awesome thing about overdrive lockout, and it's beautiful out here today, if you guys can see the background, absolutely stellar out here. The awesome thing about overdrive lockout for towing, once again, you're on the highway, you're in overdrive, you're cruising 6th gear, and you see this hill that you know that you almost always have to downshift with your load on. Doesn't matter what's going on. Well, instead of having to roll into the throttle, watch EGTs climb, and then make a downshift, all you do is tap the tow haul button, just tap it right here, and your truck will downshift immediately into 5th gear, lock the converter, and stay at, say, 2,700 RPMs, depending on gear ratio, tire size, all the good stuff. But it's going to get you right in the power band. Boom, power band, boost, walk the hill right in front of you. So on a 6.0 Powerstroke, overdrive lockout is stellar for towing. I hope it doesn't come this way all the way, because now this is going to make it really difficult for doing a transmission relearn process. Hey, the download's complete. All right, so we've got it loaded. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna cycle our key off, turn the key back on, and we're gonna go on your device, on your SCT device. You're gonna go under Vehicle Functions. We got Read DTCs, Diagnostic Trouble Codes, clear them. We're gonna go to Special Functions. No, it does not do this every time you reload a tune. You have to tell it to reset the cam. So I'm gonna go under Special Functions, Processing Data, Cam Reset. You're going to click that guy. What are we doing in this? You're resetting the Keep Alive memory. The Keep Alive memory is what tells the transmission what to do. Now I'm gonna unplug my SCT, and either on your SCT device or on your Edge, you want to have gear commanded showing, or commanded gear, if I could say that right. I'm gonna make sure that before I go anywhere, that my Edge is showing me that. Now, if your SCT is not showing that, you need to adjust your SCT to show you that as well. Of course, it would be optimal if I owned, you know, a couple miles of land and I could just do this on my own, on my own asphalt. That doesn't always work out. Instead, if you live in Gillette, you know where we're at. If you don't, try, what I recommend is find a country road as much as possible to do this on. If you can't do that, you can do 0 to 65-ish on the highway, getting on and off the highway, if you need to, if you live in a big city, from on-ramp to off-ramp. And my recommendation is do at least up to 75% throttle. 75% throttle is just, you know, hastily getting onto the highway. It's not wide open. You're not trying to kill the truck. You're not trying to race anybody. You're just trying to help this thing learn. And if you don't have to, as you're doing this, you'll see that there's some intermittent breaks in between each process. So I can imagine being on, you know, an interstate like I-90, going through a big city where it's, you know, every half a mile to a mile there's an exit. You can do it and then just make some loops on that exit where you're safe. Number one, obviously you need to be safe. I don't need nobody out hurting themselves doing a transmission relearn process. I don't recommend doing it in the rain. I'm gonna do it in the rain because, well, it rained. So there's really not much of a choice for me right now. Oh man, I need some windshield wipers on this truck. This truck has it just sits most of the time. I'm waiting on the lift kit for it. Now we can see that we have gear commanded up here with torque converter lock on for the Edge right over here. If you have not watched our other video, we use SCTs for tuning, Edge for monitoring on a 6.0 Powerstroke. The Edge can see so much data. It is the best device out there for this truck. First things first, we're gonna put it in gear and we're gonna do a 25% throttle pull until it shifts into overdrive. That's the key here. Whether that be 55, 65, 75, and then once it shifts into overdrive, you can come to a stop or go to the next exit of the highway, turn around and do the next one and find yourself a loop in that area to do this. So out here in the middle of nowhere, Gillette, Wyoming, we have this road that is actually a dead end. There's a mine back there that is closed. This used to be a big major passway through here, but they changed all the roads out here. So this is kind of like where you go to do some hood rat stuff. Like everybody does burnouts out here. People do races out here. Anyways, let's do this. So we're doing 25% throttle. And I'm watching my gear commanded over here. Alrighty. So on an Edge, it shows 4th gear because it's just count gears. On an SCT, it'll show 5th gear because it's actually 5th gear. Okay, so there's my lockup. We're at 60 and it went into 5th gear, which is overdrive technically. So your 5R110 is a 6-speed, yes, but it does not use 4th gear. So when you look at the Edge, now we're just gonna come to a stop, which there's a turn up point up here. I'm gonna go up to that road up there and come to a stop, turn around and do my 50% that way. Alrighty, and then turn around and do my 70% this way, turn around and do the 100% back. You don't need a whole bunch of space to do this. I hear often that you need space to do this process. You don't. 0 to overdrive lockup at 25% throttle, and then we do the same process, do a 50% pull to the same thing, 6th gear. It shows 5th gear on the Edge. I know that. I completely agree. Understand that can be confusing, but that's actually 6th gear. That's overdrive. So these trucks shift 1st to 2nd, 2nd to 3rd, 3rd to 5th, 5th to 6th. If your truck goes into 4-wheel drive or into 4th gear, I'm gonna be real with you. It's time to start saving for a transmission. Best way I can put that. Alrighty, nobody's in the way. Here comes a 50% pull. And I just kind of know my trucks, and you can hear that chirp a little bit. realistically, you could put your accelerated pedal position percentage up here on your gauge and watch your accelerated pedal position. Not a bad idea to do. I'm not going to do that now. I'm in 6th gear, overdrive lockup. We're golden. I'm going to go back up to that turnaround spot and do a 75% this way. All we're doing right now is resetting the transmission shift strategies, letting it learn what we want it to do, what you want it to do, number one, with your right foot, paired with what we have put into the tuning for you, based on what you select at checkout. Now, I'm going to turn around, and this is really as simple as this process is. Ladies and gentlemen, there's no rocket science to this. No rocket science to it. Now we're going to do a 75% throttle. That's what I knew was going to happen. It's dry over here, Jonathan, so we should be good. Okay. Now we're in 5th gear lockup. 6th gear. 6th gear lockup. Awesome. We're there. Now we're going to do 100% throttle from here this way. And we're only doing 75. Yes, the speed limit's like 60 on this road. I'm speeding for a small amount of time to get there. So that's why you either need to do it on a back road where you know that you're going to not interfere with anybody or hurt anybody or do anything crazy to anybody, have a chance of hurting yourself, okay? Or you need to go out on the highway where the speed limits are 65 to 70 and do this. And it's not as crucial like you might think it is that you come to a dead stop as soon as you go into overdrive. That's not what you have to do. Your goal is to get those shift points in, find somewhere safely to turn around, and then do it. Because all you're doing is letting the transmission start the learning process. After this, it's still gonna learn. Even after doing this, I recommend driving the truck for 300 to 500 miles on the same tune while it learns. So now I'm gonna stab it. We're gonna see if this long bed will do anything crazy. It's a stock truck, guys, just so you know. This is about as stock as it gets. It might have a bad EVP sensor. It's stock injectors, stock heads. I think it's studded, but it pushes coolant like a son of a bitch. Wide open throttle. Laggy. That EVP sensor's bad. Wide open throttle. There's 5th gear. Lock up. And overdrive lockup. Now we got to about 80 there. 85. You kind of got to watch that. Woo! She got hot on that little pole. Don't worry, it's gonna get a fully built engine in the long run. I probably should have recorded the whole dang thing on the way home, but I didn't. And she ate a lot of coolant on the way home. So now we're gonna do the same thing in tow haul mode, but if you guys recall me earlier stating, my truck, and I put this on every truck, has overdrive lockout. So I'm gonna tell it when to shift into overdrive, or into overdrive, 6th gear, by taking it out of tow haul. Tow haul is now overdrive lockout / tow haul. Tow haul for 1st to 5th gear, and then overdrive control. If anybody's ever owned a 99 0373, they had that really cool thing that said ODLO right there. And that's all that was overdrive lockout. It wasn't a tow haul. Now we're in tow haul. We're in tow haul. We're gonna do 25% throttle. There's 5th gear lockup, and I let it go into overdrive right there by taking it out of tow haul. Now we're going to turn around and we're going to do the same thing at 50% that way in tow haul. And then as we're driving back to the shop, I'm going to show you guys how overdrive lockout works. Put it back into tow haul here. Here comes a 50% pull. We're in 5th gear lockup. I'm going to take it out of tow haul and shifts into overdrive. Pretty awesome. When you're towing, that guy right there is absolutely stellar. You can request that in a special request on everything if you want. I don't put it in because it honestly confuses a lot of people. I put it automatically in all of the non-VGT tunes because they need that, in my opinion, in order to properly tow. You cannot I don't see the point in doing a non-VGT without that. Alrighty, let's turn around and do 75% the other way. Put it back in tow haul, and here comes the slipping. Fifth gear lockup. I let it go. I want it to, if I'm gonna have it out of tow haul, I want it to shift around 2,800 to 3,000 RPMs. For me, that's where I put it at. I'm letting it know that's where I want it to shift at. So even though you do this process, your transmission's always learning. So if you go from tune company A, tune company B, tune company C, you need to do this process, because what's happening is then you are, and in between those times, you're on a Ford tune, you're stacking the memory of the truck, and it has a hard time figuring out what you want from it. It's like picking what my wife wants for dinner. It's damn near impossible. Love you, babe. Yeah, that's the best way I can put that. You want to confuse the transmission as little as possible, so clear the keep alive memory. Alrighty, now here's the last 100% pull and tow haul, and let's see how hot the truck gets, because it's getting hot just doing that. She gets a little toasty. Wide open throttle. There's fifth gear lockup. And I'm gonna let it shift right now. There we go. Now, like I said, if you're in an area where that's too fast for you, at least do it to 75% throttle. Almost all these trucks, unless you have some crazy gears, will go into overdrive well before 75 miles an hour, unless you request that, or you don't let it go into overdrive by using the tow haul button. So let it go, at least do this process at least 0 to 75% throttle. That's the most important thing I can say. All you're really trying to do is just reset the memory and then give it a quick process, like a quick, rush learn process, like a cram before a test at college, because you were up too late drinking beer the night before, and you got a test at 10 o'clock in the morning. So at 8 o'clock in the morning you wake up and you hammer down through a book so you can try to remember everything that you got to do on the test. That's literally all you're doing right now. It's just trying to cram some memory into it so it starts doing what you want it to do. Now that I've got it there, now it's shifting where I want it to shift. That's awesome. It's starting to shift up where I like it. That's where the shift point thing comes in. Where I live, we can do 55 to 60 almost everywhere. I don't want to be in overdrive until 60. In overdrive until 60. Yeah, there's antelope out there. Alrighty, so now we're going to drive back to the shop. I wouldn't call it a big hill, but it's a hill. And if you're pulling a trailer, it's actually a decent sized hill, like 11% grade. So I'm going to get out there and show you guys what the tow haul button does, where you would normally have to lay into the throttle if you're pulling to not feel any lag, and you'd have to lay into the throttle if you're pulling to get it to downshift. We're going to do that without laying into the throttle. That's the goal here. After this process, after you do that whole process right there, what I can say is do some in-town driving, do some highway driving, try not to set the cruise for 300 to 500 miles. It's kind of like when you're braking an engine. You don't want to set the cruise because you don't want to just keep it at 1 RPM constantly. You want to change RPMs a lot to help set your rings, your valves, your seals, all that good stuff. And you want to get some heat, let it cool down, get some heat, let it cool down when you're braking an engine. Well, it's kind of the same thing here. Using cruise control right after adjusting shift points doesn't make any sense. You're just trying to get the transmission to learn, so you want to not use cruise control for 300 to 500 miles, and after that it should be pretty spot on. It should start learning pretty good. After you do that 300 to 500 miles, you can start using cruise control, but do some in-town driving, some highway driving, some stop and go, get off the highway, get on the highway, that kind of stuff. And if it takes you a week or two to do, that's fine. It's not losing that, it's keep alive memory. So right now we're doing 65, and there's the hill right up there, and it's not, like I said, it's nothing crazy. But we're doing 65, we're at about 1500 RPMs, now 62. I'm gonna let it slow down to about 60. And I'm gonna show you guys what happens, what I think is awesome about it. So, about overdrive lockout. Now, if I had a trailer, that's where this would come in super handy. So now I wanna stay at 65, climbing this hill. I can either lay into it, build a heat, or all I do is go, once it starts to move, boom, boom. Now it downshifts and it stays there, right where I want it to stay. 65 miles an hour, climbs the hill in front of me. Once I get to the top of the hill, I take it out of tow haul and let it go into overdrive and let it cool down. If I was towing, that's how it would be. But I'm on the highway, I'm towing, 10,000 pounds my camper, cool right back down, going down this hill, get to the next spot where I need it, let it climb again. tow haul does that, using that tow haul feature for overdrive lockout as well as tow haul, it's one of the most important things, and that's why it's in the EcoBeast tow tune. And then for the racing concept, it's in the Extreme tune automatically. Now we can add it to any tune, and I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of requests to add it. Awesome. Been meaning to make this video for a very long time to show people a couple different things: transmission relearn and what overdrive lockout means, and then plus a little bit of education on the shift points. People always ask what I like. I'm going to tell you right now, what I like isn't what everybody else likes. I like medium rare steak. A lot of people like a medium well done. I don't like that. Okay, Jonathan likes it rare. He likes it mooing still. Alrighty, Jonathan likes to eat raw eggs. I just can't fathom. That's the cool thing about all of us. We're different. We'd be damn boring if we were the same. So when people ask me what shift points I recommend, I say at a minimum mild on the race tune and stock on the other two if that's what you like. I say go out and drive a truck a little bit and see if you're like, it's just, man, I want it to hold that gear longer, or I want it to, it's like right now I'm doing 55. I'm still in 5th gear lockup, not overdrive. 5th gear lockup, 4th on my edge, because I don't want to be in overdrive yet. Now you may want to be in overdrive, but I don't want to be. I don't like that laggy feeling. I'm not worried about losing a 0.5 mile per gallon to gain some lag. I like it to be less laggy, so I raise the shift points. That's the best way I can put it. And that's where mine are set at. And I have a lot of people who like mine, but some people don't. So if you have never driven an older vehicle with a shift kit, I guess you could say, like a 700R4 or Turbo 400, Turbo 350 with a race shift kit, you may not like the race shift point. I call them race, but I also think that they're absolutely awesome for towing, because you keep yourself in the power band longer. I hope you guys enjoy this. Be sure to like all of our social medias, follow, all that good stuff. Call me if you got any questions. Adam and I would be glad to chat with you about it. Even the ladies in the office would be glad to chat with you about shift points. 1-800-577-2698, and refer you to this video if you need help with a transmission relearn, which that's the whole reason we did this. So now we're back at the shop. I'm gonna park my gorgeous dream truck in the shop.